So team, we did this training today because I want you, my partners, my Mavericks, the public, I want everyone to be on the same page because we're building wealth so rapidly. We've got a huge team that we're coordinating, and I want this information to be free to the public for the first time ever.
Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
At this point, what kind of questions do you have as we get into its implementation time? Let's get some questions that people might be having that we haven't covered yet.
So Kris, I'm torn between investing in a business or real estate. So my question for you is my ROI going to be higher in business or real estate?
Great question. If you are a businesswoman or a businessman and you have a track record of succeeding in business, then I would say you should always have money set aside for investing in your business. In fact, there are three things that I invest in predominantly. I invest in real estate, I invest in business, and I invest in me. As in, I set copious amounts of money aside for coaches, mentors, and training and events where I can invest in me because I'm at a point in my life where I know how to get an ROI on that is bigger than 20%. If in business I can do ROIs over 20%, I will absolutely put money into business as well. Those are three things that I really believe in. Real estate is like my foundation though. And a business is often for building active wealth. And ultimately we're trying to replace our active income and at the same time have a foundation that if I ever walk from active, I can still get paid the money that I want. So they're both important, it's just a matter of how much of each. Yeah. By the way, if I'd never done business before, would I take all of my savings and put it into a business idea? No, I would not do that at all. You will probably fail. Look at the numbers of businesses that actually fail. That's not to discourage you, it just means usually when I invest in something, I'll put in time or money, not both. So if you're gonna be building a business, be careful how much of your own money you put into it because put all your eggs in one basket, that's kind of like investing 101 no-nos. Great question. Who else has a question?
Kris, I'm also torn between buying a personal residence first, so my first home buyer experience, or purchasing investment properties with my money. So I have this money saved up. Should I get into my own house like you did, or should I get into real investment properties? If so, could your team help me find that property?
Really good. Okay, so first of all, two things on this. A primary residence is usually a 3% down, and investment property is a what?
100%.
Okay, so to answer the question, which should you do first? If you have enough money to do this, you probably have enough money for both, which means do both. The order in which you do it, that's kind of up to you, but if you're saying, well, this is really more of a primary residence as in a home, that is not the same thing as a house. House is an investment. A home is a place that you dwell. Always make sure that you put investing before your personal needs. I want to be really clear on that. Most people financially get into hot water because they're about their lifestyle and the car that they drive and the trips that they can take. And all of that is good and dandy unless it's in the way of growing financially. I would 100% and always have put my money towards growing myself financially before pleasure. And so there's got to be a delay of gratification. Now, if you're saying primary residence is actually part of my investment plan and I could do both, which one should I do? I would do both if you can do both. But as far as the primary goes, let's say that you want some help with how to do that. What we can do is I do not have a division set up in my company to help anyone anywhere in the world get a good deal on an investment property. What I do have is access to an elite chain of realtors through a company we've had great success with, and we know how to find the most successful realtor in the area. They're doing enough deals to be so in tune with the market, finding the best deals. That's where we're having great success. So if Derek, anyone in your department, or Denise is like, hey, will your team help me with a primary residence? We just go through Tyler, Bennett, and Brandon and say, find me the best realtor in that network, and we'll hand over the contact and say, let's go make it happen. That's how we help you do a primary residence in your area. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Awesome, great question. What else? Denise.
So going along with that, how much access do I actually have personally with your team?
Yeah, so we want to set really good expectations here. People get access to me, first of all, by coming to the what?
Events.
By the coming to the events. The events every quarter is me saying, it's 4 days from morning to late night, and we're going nuts, and there's VIP sessions, and so there's lots of opportunities for some really deep mentoring and connection right there, and intimate connection. My team of 200 experts, it starts at this table with our team here that goes into our marketplaces, and so my partners get unfettered access to us, which means you have a question, call in. You want to use email, use email. In other words, get in touch with us, ask your question. I have to say for my partners, I have a couple of rules before anyone's allowed to become a partner of mine in the qualification process. And the first one is, I don't do passive aggressive. If you have something that you want to say that's bothering you and you don't say it, that's on you and it's going to fester and it's going to go toxic. I hate passive aggressive people. I really do. I love the people. I hate the flaw in the personality. It is 100% always a flaw. And it's something that you guys know we don't tolerate here. If someone has something to say, they need to speak up and own it, because a problem that goes uncommunicated festers. So we avoid that by saying, please be a good, active communicator, because you'll always be able to reach us. We'll always be able to dig in, do the research, or find an answer. So I think that's really important, is that there's no limit to the team and access, because it's really customized. It's what are your needs and what do you need and what questions do you have, and let's get them answered every single time so you can actually move forward productively in the game. So yeah, I mean, bottom line is when you're access, if you've been selected, if it's a win-win for you and us to come into partnership together, then you get all the hand-holding and help that you need. Yeah.
Kris, as an individual looking to be a long-term partner, what does the vision look like, and is there benefits for my children or family?
Yeah, it's such a good question. So when we come into partnership together, one of the steps is to set up the LLC. And when we set up the limited liability company, the operating agreement goes over the rules of what happens if you die or I die. Because if I die, my team will keep building everything until they choose to want to pull out, which can happen along the way anyway, whether I'm alive or dead. If they die, their children are going to inherit it. So we've thought through these things to make sure that we've handled them. But I will say that what we're looking for are partners that are really long-term minded. Here's what people don't understand always. Once you get into real estate, there's never a goal to get out. Let me share with you what I mean by that. How many of you want to pay the lowest amount of taxes you possibly can? If someone were to start and let's say buy 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5 homes, let's just say it's 3 homes. They've probably paid some taxes and penalties on IRAs or 401ks or qualified funds, or had a payment increase on a home equity that basically allowed them to get these homes. The goal is to grow these homes this way. When we say that 3 becomes 6 homes, it's going to be one of 2 ways. We're either using a tax-free or tax-deferred refinance, which means keep the property, pull money out to get more, or when we sell, we're going to do a 1031 exchange. And a 1031 exchange basically says you don't have to pay taxes on your gains as long as you put it into like-in-kind real estate. So this number in time, Jaden, can literally become 100 homes, and it can become more. We don't have to pay taxes as long as we keep it in real estate. More houses, more cash flow. So the goal is to keep your real estate assets growing, maximize your tax benefits, keep getting paid from your real estate, and then you pass it on from generation to generation to generation. One person I had a chance to mentor with from Italy, he's a 6th generation billionaire, and I was asking him what he teaches his children to prepare them for the wealth being transferred. And he said that you really, with children, only have a chance to really give them a handful of core values and give them the right core values. And one of his core values is that fear is not in our DNA. Thought that was pretty cool. And another one is that we mentor with masters, which means don't work with any mid-tier. You always go to the best of the best, and that's who you learn and that's who you train from. Once you have your real estate sitting in the best, it's just going to keep growing and expanding. The goal isn't to, this is not a short-term play. It's not a get-rich-quick play, or at least I should say a get-rich-quick play. It's definitely a get-rich play. And it's about keeping it in the game and just continuing to expand it and then pass it on from generation to generation. Good question. Awesome.
So if I have a good amount of money sitting in my 401k, what is the process of me actually reaching and taking that money?
Okay, if someone has money, this is called qualified accounts, 401ks, IRAs, annuities. You have a custodian. There's someone that administrates your 401k or your qualified fund. Everyone who has one of those accounts knows who that is. It's calling the 1-800 number and basically making the request. You need to understand this. If your money is sitting in an annuity, a 401k or an IRA, someone is making money managing it. Whether the market goes up or down, they win. So if you were to tell them you want your money out, guess what every financial planner will tell you? No. They'll always say, well, what are you going to do? It sounds so harmless. And then you start telling them, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've heard of that. Whew, can't tell you how many people I know who have lost money doing that. And it's all BS. They'll say everything and anything because their income is derived from making their percentage and their points on managing a lot of people's money. So you do need to be aware of that. So usually I won't give people reasons. 401ks are usually different than how you would get that with annuities or other kind of assets. But just know that financial planners, when a financial planner is involved, they don't want your money to go out for any reason, and they're going to talk you out of it and tell you it's a horrible idea. That's their job. I don't really like financial planners. So it's my money, right? So you just call and ask, and then there'll just be a paperwork process and sign this and that, and then they'll tell you it'll take 10 days or 14 or whatever it is for it to actually get out, wired into your account. They may withhold the money that they think that you'll need for taxes, so some of it may already pre-go to taxes, or it'll be your responsibility to set it aside for paying taxes. The penalty will be pulled out as well, and then you'll have your money. So it's usually actually a fairly simple process unless you have to get into an argument or a debate or a conversation about why you want your money. Yeah. Yeah, any other questions? Go ahead, Derek.
Kris, can your team help us to acquire financing, like home loans or HELOCs?
Okay, people are going to ask that question. When someone wants help with a home equity line of credit, I'm always recommending that they go to their local community credit unions, and at least 2 of them, and just see who will quote them the highest value on their home and the lowest rate. And with that bit of information, I'll pick the one that I'm going to go with, and then I get my home equity line. We generally won't do HELOCs for people because it's better in your hometown community where the real estate is sitting. Cash out refinance is different. If cash out refinance makes more sense, like let's say I use my home equity line to buy 3 houses, and now I want to lock in a lower rate, then our team nationwide can handle that and usually get better and more competitive rates just because of the volume that we do. So, good question. Any other questions from things that we have covered today? All right, my friends, listen, when we're doing game plans, when we're serving people, when we're putting those together, I'd say that my final comment is make sure that they understand all of their options. Their options will always include Maverick. Always help them understand if there's money sitting in equity, any other assets. Help them understand all their options. In almost every situation, there should always be at least 2 or more options. And that's all we can promise. We can promise to give people their options, and then we can facilitate superior investment options and practices. And friends, that's how you make a $1 million game plan. And that's how you make it work. And we certainly have the team here that's doing that. If you yourself get to the end of the series and you're like, wow, Kris, I would love to have a custom game plan, you can find that in the link below. If you're one of my beloved partners or one of our Mavericks, I give you this information because I want you to know your options, and I also want you to know how to find people that you can invest and share this with so that you can continue growing your assets. Most importantly, this training is about all of us being on the same page. So whether we have a new client coming into the system, whether we're helping service someone and helping them execute their game plan, whether they've been in for 5 years and want to know their next options, understanding this methodology is what has made me my money. It was the beginning foundation of all of my wealth, and I really believe it's the foundational knowledge to helping people build wealth in the game of real estate the way that we teach and do it. So thank you guys for being here for the training. Thank you for watching. Find more information in those links below, including documents that we've covered such as this. Get that free game plan. Or if you're one of our partners, take your next steps in getting your next house. Because the one thing that we all share the same of, my friends, is time. And most people will think about what they should be doing instead of actually acting on it. But with this information, this should build confidence for people's next steps so that they can move forward and get that next house. There's, for every one of us and for all of our partners, always a next house on the horizon, and our job is to make it crystal clear and then make it so. Thanks, guys. Congratulations.